Alright, you guys, As-Salamualaikum, warahmatullahi, wabarakatuhu, and welcome to another fantasy lineup video. So, we have got the top 5 lineup for Muslim NBA players. So, these are the 5 NBA Muslim players of all time. Okay, guys? So, we are not going to waste any time here. We're just going to go straight into it. At the center position, we have Mr. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. You know what I mean, bruv? This guy was an absolute tank. And when I say tank, I mean tank, bro. Just to get a few stats out here, right? NBA champion 94-95 with the Houston Rockets, all right? NBA Finals MVP 94-95. NBA MVP 94. He is the all-time block shot leader with 3,830 blocks. Bro, do you have any idea how difficult it is to get that many blocks? I mean, that is just absolutely insane, right? So, Defensive Player of the Year, 93 and 94. You got all NBA first team, 87, 88, 89, 93, and 94. You got all NBA second team, 86 and 1990, 96 as well, and the third team, 91 and 95 and 99. So all defensive first team, 87, 88, 90, 93, 94. He's a 12-time All-Star, okay? Top 50 NBA players of all time in 1996 that was announced, all right? His career wasn't even over yet. Olympic gold medalist as well in 1996. Well, I mean, arguably the best center of all time in my opinion, okay? And a lot of people would argue, obviously, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but I'm going to explain kind of why I think this. So, like I said, you know, it's not just me that says this, though. Shaq has said that. Michael Jordan has said that. You know, if he played on that Celtics team, for example, with Bill Russell, or as if instead of Bill Russell, I should say, you know, or he played in that Lakers team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you know, he could have probably done the same, if not better, because of how good his handles were, in my opinion. He was just as effective, if not more effective defensively. And scoring wise, if he was playing against those kinds of players, he would manhandle them. I'm sorry. Like Bill Russell in his era, he was playing against a bunch of 6 foot some white dudes that, you know, to be honest with you, were not at the level of the players that. I mean, look at the kind of players he had to come up against in the 90s, bro. Prime era of the NBA, bro. Like, 90s was one of the most intense competition for NBA stars, man. Like, everybody, like, you have so many GOATs from that era, bro. It's not even funny. Hakeem Olajuwon is up there. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely room to talk. Although, I mean, no disrespect to Bill Russell or anything like that. He's definitely one of the all-time GOATs, no doubt. But I'm just saying, man, like, you put Hakeem Olajuwon on that same team, and I think you get very, very similar results. So, my guy was a 7-footer, but he had the handles of a guard. And I kid you not, this guy had the handles of a guard. Like, he was so unpredictable. And I mean, he's a big guy, 7-footer, bro. But he was breaking ankles like it was nobody's business. You know what I mean? So nobody had ever seen anything like this, okay? And I'm not just saying that because you know, he gave me his autograph. Shout out to him, by the way. When I met him in person, that was pretty cool, not gonna lie. Like I said, I definitely fangirled over him a little bit. That was amazing. And he returned my salams. So, yeah, shout out to him. You know what I mean? Absolute machine, right? Was Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. And not only that, right? He would oftentimes actually be fasting during his NBA games, right? Because of Ramadan and stuff like that. So, and even while he was fasting, he was bullying people on the court, man. This guy just an absolute menace. I mean, you can't even. He's just like he was untouchable, bro. Like just absolutely insane, which just shows his, you know, his level of toughness and discipline. Shaq used to bully everybody, and even he said that he himself, Hakeem was the only guy that he couldn't break and he couldn't get into his head. You know what I mean? And the fact that Hakeem pretty much actually got in his head in that NBA final, bro, just shows like the levels, man. Because Shaq is absolute, obviously tank and menace as well. But yeah, Shaq gave him a good elbow, like he said, and then Hakeem just said, "Hey, nice ball, brother." You know what I mean? That was it, man. And he just proceeded to just dominate him in the freaking game. He just totally destroyed Shaq in that NBA final. And this was a young buck Shaq, you know what I mean? So it's like, people were scared of Shaq back then, and I mean, rightfully so, obviously, and still scared of Shaq to this day. Also, absolutely destroyed David Robinson in the finals, man, against the Spurs, bro. It was just just after they announced that Robinson was the MVP, Hakeem was like, "What? He's the MVP? I'm gonna show y'all what's up. I'm gonna show y'all what's up." And he laid into this guy. I mean, the way that he crossed it. I mean, dude, when he hit him with that dream shake, dunked on him, and just the face of defeat that David Robinson had, bro, was just. I mean, you just look at him, he's just like. Just total and utter defeat. Like, he punished the poor guy. Like, I'm sorry, but Robinson is no slouch. Like, he's one of the top centers of all time. That's the funny thing. And he just totally embarrassed him in that game, bro. And even he said himself, he was like, he's played better than I've ever seen anybody play. Like, he was just like unplayable that game. Now, as the power forward position, okay, even though he didn't really play power forward, he played more center, but, lineups you can kind of play around. They can play both roles just for the sake of putting him in the lineup because obviously he is one of the GOATs. We have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We know how legendary he was. Another contender, not just for the GOAT as a center, but overall GOAT in the NBA, just behind Michael Jordan, some people say. Most would actually argue. Because of his accolades and everything. He's a six-time NBA champion, 1971, 1980, 82, 85, 87, and 88. Six-time most valuable player in 71, 72, 74, 76, 77, and 1980. That's kind of why I'm like, yeah, you could argue he's probably the GOAT. He retired the number 33 for both the Bucks and the Lakers. I mean, for anybody to retire a number is an incredible feat in of itself, but to do it for two teams, like, bro, it's just levels, fam. Levels, fam. Maybe some people in the modern day don't exactly know. And there's some of the new gens, you know what I mean? That he was actually in a movie with Bruce Lee called Game of Death. And he was in the movie Airplane as well as a co-pilot. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar he was just one of those players that was just an absolute menace, bro. Like, both physically and tactically. Kareem's skyhook was pretty much unstoppable, right? For the most part. I think, who was it? I think it was Wilt Chamberlain, I think was the only guy to block it, like, once or twice, but that was about it. And other than that, I mean, it led to him scoring literally 38,387 points throughout his whole career. 1,560 games played. 57,446 minutes played. Bro, that is mental. ESPN named him the greatest center of all time in 2007. So he started learning about Islam actually in college and eventually accepted Islam because he was heavily influenced by Malcolm X along with many other black Americans at the time who converted to Islam. His conversion was very controversial, actually. He himself said that some fans took my decision very personally as if I firebombed their church while tearing up the American flag. So he was seen as unpatriotic for converting to Islam or reverting to Islam, as we would call it. And he said himself, conversion is a risky business because it can result in losing family, friends, and community support. But my independent spirit finally emerged. Not content to receive all my religious knowledge from one man, I pursued my own studies. I found soon that I disagreed with some of Hamas's teachings about the Quran, and we parted ways. Hamas, I believe, was one of his teachers, like I said, or I guess one of his main inspirations. Not the group that is in Palestine right now. That's not what we're talking about. But anyways, so in 1973, I traveled to Libya and Saudi Arabia to learn enough Arabic to study Quran on my own. and I emerged from this pilgrimage with my beliefs clarified and my faith renewed. From that year to this, I have never wavered or regretted my decision to convert to Islam. When I look back, I wish I could have done it in a more private way without all the publicity and fuss that followed, but at the time adding my voice to the civil rights movement by denouncing the legacy of slavery and religious institutions that had supported it. That made it more political than I had intended and distracted for what was for me a more personal journey. Many people are born into their religion. For them, it is mostly a matter of legacy and convenience. Their belief is based on faith, not just the teachings of the religion, but also in the acceptance of that religion from their family and culture. For the person who converts, it is a matter of fierce conviction, defiance. Our belief is based on a combination of faith and logic because we need a powerful reason to abandon the traditions of our families and community to embrace beliefs foreign to both. Some fans still call me Lou, then seem annoyed when I ignore them. They don't understand that their lack of respect for my spiritual choice is insulting. It's as if they see me as a toy action figure existing solely to decorate their world as they see fit rather than as an individual with his own life. We have our next player here, guys, and that is Mr. Stephen Jackson from the Hornets. He's also very well known for winning his NBA championship with the Spurs back in 2003. This guy was a very, very good player. He did not actually become Muslim, though, until after his NBA career, unlike most of the players in this lineup. But he went on to say that everything I have today is because I get on my knees and pray 5 times a day. I wouldn't be able to wake up, breathe, and provide for my child if I didn't get on my knees and worship Allah. Allah is the one in control, and each and every one of us in creation are reliant upon Allah in each and every moment. It is only when we realize that this inner peace descends upon us, and that's what Islam is about. Salam, that peace. And then he went on to say also as well that no one loves Allah more than him. So, overall, we have him at obviously the small forward spot, but yeah, he was anything but small. I mean, he was 6'8", so yeah, guy was a tank. But yeah, very popular figure right now. He has a podcast himself. But yeah, he seems like a very dedicated brother, mashallah. Hats off to him. For the next player, and a guy that I actually met myself as well. I met him at the ICNA convention. I met him a few years back, like I said, at the ICNA convention, and it is Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Steph Curry before Steph Curry, you know what I mean? Like, this guy used to bang in threes like it was nobody's business, okay? Had some pretty good handles on him as well, and just, I mean, this dude was really, really good, man. Had it not been for injuries and stuff like that, I think he really could have been like one of the all-time greats. Still, definitely a legendary player in of his own respect. But like I said, his NBA accolades weren't exactly GOAT-worthy per se. But he sacrificed a lot for what he believed in. He scored about 8,600 points in his career, which is fairly decent. But his commitment and his dedication to Islam is obviously what really stands out about him. Second to none. He started taking the knee, I guess you could say, way before Colin Kaepernick. All right, and yeah, he definitely received some backlash for that. So he's known for the controversy created when he was actually refusing to stand for the Star Spangled Banner before games. I remember that was a big thing back in the day. Yeah, stating that the flag was a symbol of oppression and that the U.S. Had a long history of tyranny. NBA suspended him in '96, March 12th. He had to miss. He had to miss several games, and for each game, he had to pay $31,707. That is a lot of money, guys, per game that he missed. And a few days later, he worked out a compromise with the league, whereby he stood for playing of the national anthem, but he closed his eyes and looked downward, and he was actually usually just making dua and stuff like that. So 4 employees of Denver's KBPI radio station were charged with a misdemeanor of offenses related to entering a Colorado mosque and playing the Star Spangled Banner on a bugle and trumpet in response to Abdul Rauf's refusal to stand for the anthem. So yeah, he was harassed quite a bit, guys, but also received some injuries, like I said. Overall, very influential and one of the all-time greats in Denver Nuggets history. Last but not least, we have Kyrie Irving. He was an NBA champion in 2016 with LeBron on the Cavs. Man, that was a historic win. Eight-time NBA All-Star, NBA All-Star Game MVP, 2014. So in terms of his Islam, Irving announced that he is committed to Islam, and he said and other religions. So my understanding was that he was just Muslim, but I don't know if he's one of those guys that kind of is like, oh, all religions are right in their own way kind of thing. I don't know. That's what it kind of seems like. So I don't know what to make of that exactly. But yeah. Anyways, he says, for me, in terms of my faith, what I believe in, being part of the Muslim community, being committed to Islam, and also just being committed to all races and cultures, religions, just having an understanding and respect. Irving has been fasting for Ramadan since 2021. He's also actually appeared in an episode of Family Guy and an episode of We Bare Bears. We know him obviously from the controversy fairly recently about the whole Hebrew Israelite documentary or whatever that he shared on Twitter, and that whole controversy that came with it, that he couldn't come back to the NBA until he apologized for that, which eventually he did. But he was suspended for quite a while, and yeah. So, yeah, that was not a good time for him, I imagine. But yeah, nonetheless, we all know, like I said, about Kyrie's handles. Arguably the GOAT in terms of handles, man. This guy at point guard, man, just absolute menace. Like, I mean, the way his handles, bro, he's so unpredictable, right? So he can go for threes, he can dribble either side, and what's crazy is, like, he's just determined to score, right? Like, you can't guard him one-on-one. It's just not possible, right? Like, you gotta guard him 2v1, because the thing is that he's one of those players that actually doesn't really plan his moves. Like, it's very rare. He doesn't actually plan his moves before he does it. He'll react to how you choose to defend him. So, in real time, he'll just counteract whatever it is you're doing, and he'll find a way to score. Like, just absolutely insane in terms of his tactics and scoring. Arguably, GOAT of point guard, I would say, in terms of his handles. But accolades and stuff like that, obviously, there's other players. But in terms of this Muslim lineup, you know what I mean? I'd argue he's probably the GOAT of point guard. But some honorable mentions include Jaylen Brown and Mohamed Bamba, but they're still young and developing. So for an all-time lineup, it didn't really make sense to kind of put them in here. But, yeah. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you all again in the next video, inshallah. As-Salamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.